In the simplest terms possible, an mDL is the electronic data carried on a mobile device that represents a physical DL credential that would have been issued to that individual. To put it slightly differently, an mDL is trustable data that proves someone is who they claim to be, can prove they're being bound to that trustable data, and has the associated privileges. In the case of a driver license, the privilege to drive. When asked what does an mDL look like, the answer is you can't really see it because it's the zeros and ones being carried, transmitted, and verified. Next slide. What we've struggled with from the very beginning with our work is the inclination to render a photo or image of a credential and then subject the relying party communities to the roulette of whether what they're seeing is trustable. Cutting to the chase, we didn't want to perpetuate the issues we have in the physical credential realm, much less make the situation even easier for those with the intent to commit an ID-related crime. Next slide, please. The functional requirements are really the what an mDL is, and my fellow panelists will be diving deeper into this as well as looking at the how. At the outset, we've had both security and privacy in mind. Far better to integrate those into every step along the way than to finish the work and then wrestle with how do you make things secure and privacy-centric. Next, mDLs need to confirm the holder's identity. They also need to convey whatever the associated privileges are. In this case, to drive. They also need to be trusted. They need to be interoperable. From the very beginning, the jurisdictional folks that led the way in this knew that if they created mDL solutions that only work within their own jurisdictions, that it would not be accomplishing what they'd set out to do. Not only should it work outside of the issuing state or province, ideally it will work anywhere around the world. They need to promote data minimization. The holder should not have to overexpose their personally identifiable information. They should be in control of how much information they release and to whom. mDLs will ultimately work both in person-to-person scenarios as well as a person-to-a-kiosk, online, or other unattended scenarios. mDL holders need to be able to remove the credential, and issuing authorities need to be able to keep the credential attributes updated. For example, a change of address, a change in status, the addition or removal of an endorsement and/or restriction. And lastly, they need to be able to work without an online capability. Next slide, please. The mDL standardization has been going on for many years, and a significant list of countries have been actively participating. The heart of the work has really been done inside of ISO SE 17WG10. In the last couple of years, the ISO committee that's working on mobile identity, which is SE 17WG4, has joined forces and has taken up the mDL use case as their first primary area of focus. Next slide, please. From a motor vehicle authority perspective, ANVA was quite pleased that there are so many other geographic regions that are working cooperatively on aligning to the work of ISO. Counterpart associations in both Europe and Australia have mirror activities to the ones inside of ANVA and have been coordinating on proofs of concept, interoperability tests now for the past 2 years.